Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology video podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to take a look at the sky. Got a couple of things, including a significant aspect with the United States chart that I wanted to talk about. So let's just, without further ado, jump right on in here. And one of the things that I wanted to show you is this little aspect right here, because if you can catch this now in the morning sky, Mars and Venus are just like this, and now Saturn is right there as well because Venus and Saturn conjoin later today. But today, what wasn't there last week was the moon is in the picture. So you've got this incredible display in the sky. If you catch this before sunrise, here's sunrise coming up right here, so it's about that far up in the sky. It is going to be quite a show if you catch it today. Now, we mentioned this aspect between Venus and Saturn, and yep, that is happening today at 3:27 p.m., where they will be exactly aligned by degree and minute. And there's something that I think is significant with that aspect that is also worth taking a look at because it ties right into Venus, and I'm wondering if this isn't going to be a domino trip for something, like the first in a sequence. We'll see. One other thing to point out in today's chart, Neptune is in a trine to the south node of the moon, which puts it in a sextile to the north node of the moon. So we've got a little bit of Neptunian favor with these nodes, and we know that this nodal axis of especially the south node in Scorpio, boy, when we looked back to 1967 and remembered that aspect had preceded the long, hot summer of 1967, where a myriad of over 150 race riots in the United States, and then look at where we are today, it is quite ominous when that aspect comes around. Let's tie this Venus situation into the United States chart. So I talked about this in the audio podcast. Here is exactly what we're taking a look at. This cusp of the sixth house, which we are in equal house system here, the equal house system, which takes the ascendant, which is right here, 12 degrees Sagittarius, and makes that exact point the cusp of every house. And they're all 30-degree houses. So with this, when a planet is near the cusp, it amplifies the planet, the sign, and the house. So what are we talking about here? Well, Taurus and the sixth house both rule agriculture. Taurus, the bull, livestock, the earth, crops. The sixth house symbolizes everything to do with the production, growth, harvesting, stocking, food supply, distribution of food, everything to do with food. And that's why it's almost like a little cousin, if you will, to health. Food equals health, right? So that's the symbolism of the sixth house. So we're dealing with rulership over food. Last week, President Biden said that food shortages were coming. Could it be represented by this? Astrologically, you are very solidly interpreting this situation if you said that there could be disruptions to the food supply. Uranus, the planet of disruption, the planet of sudden interruptions, the planet of shocking revolution, if you will, and revelation as well. Boom! But yes, it could all be encompassed in that. So this is something that I wanted to point out. Boy, there are so many things that we could go with this. What do you do? I mean, most of us are not in a position to grow food. And even if you did, I mean, even if you had a nice little plot of land, could you mobilize a garden and then you have to fight all the elements and critters and bugs, and then you have to can what isn't used? I mean, it's like a whole different shift. Now, some of you already have done this. Some of you have put food aside. But I think this is something that we all have to be aware of we have to take a look at, and we have to realize, from my perspective here on the Fun Astrology podcast, is pointing out the aspect and interpreting it, that it could relate to disruptions in food. So what do? I think the best thing is to, like I said on the audio podcast, ask our angels. And if that's something that maybe you're not familiar with, or maybe not even bought into, I would encourage you to go back on my Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast, my other podcast, and go back from the current episode, go back maybe 5 or 6 episodes, and listen to the interview with Julie Jancis, because she explains in very great language and detail about calling on our angels during times like this, when we need answers and we're kind of at the end of our rope and we need wisdom. Our angels are there to help us. So I think that's an excellent place to start. And then from our perspective here, dealing with astrology, what we will start to do, now that we have heard from the president, we know that it's possible astrologically, we'll start looking now to see if events move more toward it or away from it. And then you can figure out in there what you choose to do for you and your family in light of all of these considerations. And that will be the wisdom that we will also draw from our intuition, from the angels, and from common sense. All right, thank you for listening to this. I don't want to end on a low note, so let's go back. Let's go back to our transits for today, because this will put a smile on your face, especially if you're able to catch it. Now, the moon tomorrow moves into Pisces, but it will still be down here, so it will still be fairly close. So if you don't catch it today, you can certainly catch it tomorrow. But in light of everything else going on in the world, I promise you, if you can go see it, it will put a great big smile on your face. So I hope you do. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back tomorrow. Have a great day.